from Senator Lamar Alexander's office with us this morning. And she called and asked me if it would be okay to join our group. And I told her that I would check with several of you guys and see if it was okay, and if it was, that she could come. And so, we were very delighted to have her come, and we're pleased that she's here. John Williams is one of the steering committee members, and we're pleased to have him here this morning. We're pleased to have Judge Jim Beasley here with us this morning. And a candidate for the City Council, Jim Sedoya. We're pleased to have him. And please promote these guys because they're running against some very liberal people. And I think that Jim would do a great job. He's got a passion for what he wants to do. I've talked to him a few times, and I know that he really is concerned with what's happening in the city. Appreciate all of you all being here. And if any of you have had any exposure recently to what's happened, I should say, in the school situation, the school board, you may want to write some of these commissioners and let them know how you feel. Just go to the website, send them a little note, and let them know. I was concerned about the way that went, and like for instance from this area here in Cordova, there was not one person that was selected to sit on the board. And so it was a pervasively done opposite party situation. Kind of made me, when I said that, think of the little story about the little girl that lived next door to the little boy, and they always played together all the time. And one day they were playing together, and she looked at him and said, "Johnny, are you the opposite sex, or am I?" So I don't know who's the opposite party in the situation. You all stand with me. Let's say the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're glad that everybody's here this morning. If you got your emails, is everybody getting the emails we sent out? Pretty good. Pretty good. That's good. Everybody knows that we have a website, right? It's www.cordovabreakfastclub.org, and you can go and get a recapitulation of what we do at this meeting after it's over, and read some of those things. Nicholas Pegues has been doing some pictures and videos for us. We really appreciate that, Nicholas. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Justin, and as everybody knows, he's going to talk to us about the Republican principles. So Justin, we're glad to have you.
Thank you. I apologize I was so late this morning. I hope everyone's got a chance to get some coffee or something to eat. Feel free to get up and do that right now. We're going through this. I hope everybody can hear me okay. I'll try to talk to both sides of the table here, but what I wanted to talk about this morning, and I hope everybody did get the email that Jim sent out that contained the list of Republican principles from the National Federation of Republican Women. I want to talk about those specifically, but just some other things more in general. Talk about these principles that are listed here, but also our party's platform. And certainly if anybody is here that's been to a national convention before, if I'm not saying something accurately here, please stop me and please correct me, especially when it comes to the process as to how these things come about. But I wanted to first talk about where these things come from. They're not just words that magically appear on a piece of paper or on a website. And then secondly, I wanted to talk about just generally what they are. And then finally, what do we do with them? Again, given the fact that they're not just words, but they are what we believe. So, like I said, I do hope that everybody got the email from Jim with a list of these principles that was posted on the National Federation of Republican Women's website. And I did a little research on this. It says this down at the bottom, the source, the the Republican National Committee. And I wasn't able to find this on the RNC's website, as a matter of fact. So I don't know if those were up there at one time or where these came from, but I did a little more research, and it looked like, based on what I can find, I'm always a little hesitant about what I read on the internet, as I hope everybody else is, but I found a number of sources that attributed these principles to Haley Barbour back in the mid-1990s. I don't know if he created these or if he pushed these through when he was the RNC chairman or what, but again, if somebody's got some other information on that, please let me know, but that's the best that I can do as to where these came from. So apparently they've been around for a few years, and they're fairly general. They talk about our principles in fairly broad strokes, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about our national party's platform. And again, please jump in and correct me if I'm not being exactly accurate here, but basically how we come up with a platform is that every 4 years at the national convention, there's a platform committee that works over a long period of time. It's not just at the convention, but these are assembled over the course of months and I think actually years. But I've broken this document down. I've compacted it, but it's actually a 67-page document. And it gets fairly detailed on a number of issues, everything from energy independence to environmental protection to education to healthcare. Is basically what does our party on the national level, what do we stand for? And this platform is adopted at the convention every year, not every year, but every 4 years. And in doing research, we're getting ready this morning, came across information that C-SPAN has got videos of this posted online of some of the proceedings back in 2008 when this platform was adopted. And there's hours and hours of these proceedings, and obviously I wasn't able to watch but just a few minutes of it. But if you've got any interest, especially in a particular topic, you may want to go there to see how did we, as a party, come up with these particular positions. Because when you look at these principles, these again are fairly general. They cover a pretty broad range. But when you get into our party's platform, which again is adopted and changed to some extent every 4 years, it gets very specific. Again, this is a fairly detailed document, and it gets down to a fairly specific policy level. You know, as a Republican Party, you know, we're not in the legislative business. We're in the business of electing Republicans. So we don't set policy, but we obviously have our principles upon which we as a party stand, and these principles are enunciated in this platform. So I hope I covered at least some of which, how do we get to these principles. So let's talk a little bit about what they are. And again, I'm not going to read this word for word because hopefully you all got it in your email. But basically, you know, I think you can kind of boil it down to this: that, you know, as Republicans, we believe in the individual, not in government. I think it really comes down to as simple as that. We believe that government is most effective at the local level. Obviously, we have a place for the federal government in our Constitution, but when we're talking about government interacting with our lives, that's most effectively done at the local level, where we can hold our elected officials more accountable. We don't see them in the grocery store. We know where they are at City Hall or down at the County Commission building. And even at the state level, Nashville is a lot closer than Washington. We believe that government should do as little as possible and really only do the things that government can do that the private industry and the free market cannot do. And you know, I hope those few points that I've just gone over cover at least most of these principles, because I know for one, I don't have these memorized, and I doubt very few Republicans do. But I guess my point is that to the extent that these can be boiled down to some talking points within even a 15 or 30 second kind of kind of not a speech, but a talk that we can give to our friends. That's what we do with this. That's how we take these principles that are written down on this piece of paper on this website, and we go talk to our friends about what it is to be a Republican. Why is it that we believe what we believe? And hopefully, as we talk to people in our churches, at our workplaces, in our neighborhoods, people that maybe strangers that we see in the grocery store, hopefully these will resonate with many, if not most people that want to get involved. How do we turn these principles into policies through the political process, through electing officials who subscribe to these principles, who will go to Washington, who will go to Nashville, and even here locally, will put these principles into policy and legislation. I did just want to go over specifically some of the areas that are covered in this platform. Again, this is it's a fairly in-depth document. It's available online at rnc.com. When you go to that website and look under issues, this document is available for download. But I'll quickly go through the issues that are covered in the 2008 platform. Defending our nation, supporting our heroes, and securing the peace. Reforming government to serve the people. Expanding opportunity to promote prosperity, energy independence and security, environmental protection, healthcare reform, putting patients first. Education means a more competitive America, protecting our families, and finally preserving our values. So, if you come across someone who is interested in some of the things that we're talking about, again, in the broad sense, in the 15 to 30 second conversation about these broad principles, and they say, well, what exactly is the Republican Party stance on health care reform? What exactly is the Republican Party stance on energy independence? Well, you can go look at this document here, download it, and look those things up to a fairly specific level. And again, this is what our party has adopted as its platform. Now, does this mean that every single Republican agrees 100% with everything in here? Well, probably not. Hopefully we would all support this, but again, I mentioned earlier about the hours of debate that went into forming this document, forming the platform, and that just goes to show about some of the discussion, the thoughtful process, with some debate and perhaps even disagreement amongst ourselves. But at the end of the day, we do come up with this platform that we had since 2008, and I believe there'll be another one next year that's adopted in 2012. So I hope I've covered the subjects about where these things come from and what they are and what we do with them, because it really is incumbent upon us as Republicans to get this message out. I mean, I'm sure very few people know even where to find the platform, let alone what it is. So, and I'm not saying that we need to memorize these principles specifically, but I think that we need to be armed and ready to talk about them when the opportunities present themselves.
And what is it on the NRC website?
Yes, sir. NRC, or I think it's GOP.com, but just Google NRC, that'll get you there for sure. Yeah. Now, like I said, talking about the Republican principles, this comes off of the National Federation of Republican Women's website. So if you'll just Google NFRW principles, you should get to this. I did not find this on the NRC's website. Yes, sir.
What is the County Republican Party doing right now to not only support our candidates that we have, and I realize this is a nonpartisan race, that we have some candidates here at the table, but what are we doing to help get our vote out for the city election, and then also what are we doing to prepare for next year, which is, just a huge election, not just presidential, but congressional. They're going to have redistricting. There's a whole bunch of things that are going to happen to open up some more opportunities for Republicans. And not just, I'm speaking strictly of Shelby County.
Well, first on the city elections, the county party did endorse two people who were running for re-election to the city council. Kim Conrad, Super District 9, Position 1, and then Bill Boyd for District 2. We're doing a mail out for district Republicans in District 9. Most of District 9 encompasses District 2, so there's a lot of overlap there. And we're helping with the mail out on that. We're getting the emails out. We are just trying to get the word out because I think as you probably say, a lot of people don't know there's an election going on right now. And it is nonpartisan. But people need to figure out who's running and go vote. I mean, early voting is going on right now. Election day in the city of Memphis is October the 6th, with early voting going through October the 1st, I believe. So we really need to get out and make sure our friends and neighbors that live in the city of Memphis know there's an election going on. Like I said, we've already sent out a couple of emails, and I'm sure we'll have some more as we get closer to October the 6th. Going into the next year, yes, November is absolutely a critical election. Before we get there, we've got a local election here in August. And at least as of today, my plan is to replicate as best as we can with whatever adjustments that we need to make, because obviously August 2012 is not going to be the same as August 2010. But to the best that we can replicate what we did that worked so well in August 2010 in August 2012. And then as we roll into November, just play as much of a supporting role as we can, from the presidential race all the way down to the House races here in Shelby County. We've got not technically super majorities just yet in the state House and state Senate, but we're almost there. I think that the goal statewide is to have so-called walkout-proof majorities, meaning that even if none of the Democrats show up like they did in Wisconsin, we'd still be okay. We'd have enough Republican members in both the House and the Senate to go ahead and get our whatever business we have taken care of. So we have a little ways to go there, but the main thing is, I think, to protect the districts that we did win last year and hopefully pick up even a few more.
In the House, we need more seats in the House.
I think that's about right. Yeah, we're close.
Are we there in the Senate yet?
It's 2013. So we're just about, And I know that the state party is already, they are already getting things in motion as far as voter ID right now, and trying to build up their list for the House districts in particular that we'll need to support and help out with. And some of that can be done here, even if it's a House district in Middle Tennessee or East Tennessee. With technology, telephones, we can make a phone call to the Knoxville area or the Nashville area. That's not a problem.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
The National Republican Platform Committee, how large of a body of people is that, and where are they located? Just asking out of curiosity.
Well, that's a good question, and that's why I started off that if anybody's got any information on that, I would appreciate it. But what's the composition of the platform committee, and where do they come from? Well, on these two pages here, which are at the end of the platform document, you've got the actual platform committee. You've got obviously the RNC chair. You've got a chairman and a co-chairman. You've got a number of subcommittee chairmen here. You've got some honorary vice chairs, and you've got committee members from each state. Looks like two committee members from each state, and then supporting all of that is an entire platform staff. So it's a pretty big it is a pretty big committee, representative of all 50 states. It looks like to me.
So as I understand it, these are the power rollers who, at the national convention, say to no matter whoever our candidate is, these are the planks and you have to support them. Basically, these are the guys behind the scene that's calling the shots.
Well, it's I wouldn't call it behind the scenes because it's an open process. Like I said, you can even go watch the videos of the 2008 proceedings. But yes, as I understand the process, these are it's this committee that ultimately puts this platform together, which is eventually submitted for adoption.
When is our state convention?
Our
The Tennessee Republican State Convention.
well, we have county conventions.
I mean, I'm talking about presidential now. I'm not talking about
You're talking
local
about
level.
the presidential primary is March the 6th, I believe, next year. And I think that's the first round of primaries after the initial caucus of primaries: Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada.
Do you understand all of this? The implication I kind of heard was that redistricting will take place before this year.
That's the plan. Yeah, as I understand it, it's going to be submitted in the legislature for a vote in January, when the legislature goes back into session in January.
Have any feel for what that might be?
No, and I'm not sure anybody else does either. I know. I mean, they're working on the lines now, and I think that the general concept is for it to be fair and legal and fair.
I talked with Curry Todd. If I remember correctly, we may lose something here. They may move something over toward Davidson County. They're doing some moving around. I don't know, but he's on the committee, and I know he's working real hard at it. So there is going to be some changes, and I'm not sure what impact it's going to have on Shelby County. But I know there's going to be some movement. It seems like we were going to lose something here. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had conversations with Curry as well as Steve McManus, and I've also talked with John Ryder about this, who is kind of the guru, not just locally but nationally, on redistricting. But anyway, Shelby County is going to have to lose probably 2 state representative seats because of numbers alone,
Right.
And possibly 1 state Senate seat. So. Because Republicans are in power, I'm sure they're going to make sure that those are Democrat seats that are lost. But the challenge is that we have to make sure we abide by the Voting Rights Act when it comes to districts and racial representation and all that. So I would say if you're a white Democrat, your chances aren't looking really well for you in Shelby County, and that's kind of off the record. But I think you'll find that out come January. So you can figure out who those guys are, but that's probably the seats that they'll target.
Why is it that we would lose 2 representatives? Is that because it's 2010 census?
Yes, it's all based on the 2010s.
And I think, I say Davidson County, but that area in Middle Tennessee is going to pick up some.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee will pick up seats.
South of Nashville in particular is probably going to pick up some Republicans.
Yeah, it won't be Nashville, but it'll be the counties
Franklin
around
and that area
Nashville.
down there.
And generally speaking, you have to shift the districts as to where the population growth has happened, and conversely, you have to remove the districts where population has shrunk. And a lot of it is, and even if it's not shrinking in absolute terms, you have to look at the relative growth. So if some counties are going faster than others, that's where the shifts have to happen.
What about on the congressional level? Because I know right now we're represented by Marshall Blackburn. Is that likely to change possibly?
I have heard there will be some changes in the composition of the 7th, 8th, and 9th district lines here in Shelby County, and it could be considerable depending upon what they end up with in January. But yeah, I think you can count on some change, and it may be significant.
Could that impact District 9?
Well, I think if anything, it's going to expand.
Well, that could be good.
Just when will this redistricting be determined, and will it affect the 2012 election or elections thereafter?
It should all be, as I understand it, it should at least be submitted for approval in January when the legislature goes back into session. So yes, I believe it will have an impact come 2012.
Chairman Justin Joy. I was a candidate. Yeah, I was a candidate for the Unified School Board in District 7, and I've created a website to promote public watchdogs, international watchdogs. I got people from around the world who are supporting it, how can the Republican Party make that message clear that we don't want public corruption in our school system when it, to spill over from the city school system? How can we, inspire public watchdogs, especially with something like that?
Well, I think that generally speaking, the Republican Party fights against corruption at all levels of government, from the federal government, state government, all the way down to the local government and school boards. So again, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about this morning, that it's really incumbent upon us as individuals to get that message out as to what we stand for, and certainly fighting corruption and demanding accountability in government is one of those things.
I want to thank everybody for coming this morning.
We got Lora and Jobe.
Hey, can we ask Lora a question?
I can bring greetings from Senator Alexander, but I'll probably try to stand up just because my voice is not everyone. I mean, I feel like I have a loud voice, but people always think I don't have that voice. But anyway, the Senate is in session, and so as Senator Alexander's field rep, I want to be out and about, and it's really good to be with you this morning. I feel like I'm passed to a men-only club, but I'm going to put the word out that you guys will accept that women come to breakfast. So that's good. Good to know.
Quick question for you when you have a chance. What are some of the things that your office hears the most about from constituents lately?
Well, we hear, it's interesting this week, we've had calls on the Obama jobs bill, and interestingly enough, it's been about half and half, with half of our callers saying support the president's job bill, and half of them saying, don't support like certain things in it. And so the Senate is looking at that this week, and Senator Alexander is looking at, pieces of that bill and what that's going to mean. He basically has drawn a line on anything that is going to cost any money at all, that he will not vote for that unless he can find an offset, something else, taking from somewhere else, because it's just, he remains concerned about the deficit. I wanted to just read you our press release that came last week. He offered an amendment to eliminate the funding for the Election Assistance Commission, and this is just a 9-year-old commission in Washington to provide assistance for elections, but it's already, and sort of look at elections, what needed to change, what needed to happen. It had a price tag of $14 million, which in the scheme of things might not seem like that much to Washington, but Senator Alexander knows that that's a lot of money. We all know that's a lot of money, and so he's proposed getting rid of that commission that hasn't even had any work to do for the last 5 years. So it's like a no-brainer, and yet somebody had to do it, and so I'm really proud that I work for the senator who put that out there and said it's time to get rid of some of these costly things that are no longer, that are really obsolete. I don't know, but I'll look and then shoot you an email if you'd like me to. Give me a card.
How to call to Senator Alexander's office, whether they're in Nashville or Memphis or Washington, how do they affect his decisions to vote one way or the other on any given issue?
Senator Alexander absolutely listens to the calls. We tally them, so he may not know specifically that Justin Joy called today and said, don't support the Obama job plan. But he'll know that the Memphis office had 50 calls, 25 said supported, 25 said don't. But often, usually our calls, this is unusual with the jobs plan, usually our calls are very specifically one way or the other. And typically we feel like we have loyal Republicans are calling to let Senator Alexander know who voted for him, to let him know what they are feeling and where they stand. But no, we tally those, and he wants to know what are people saying. I mean, we have a weekly meeting, teleconference with all the state offices, and we talk about, what the calls and what people are saying. And that's why I want to come to something like this, so I can hear from y'all. And very good. So I can hear from you.
There's another vote against it.
Okay.